Inside the tunnel, sir.
Who's here?
Shh! We're the only ones here, Thomas.
I don't ever want to go that fast backwards again, Thomas.
The background engines in the first book. In the first illustration of the first book, in Edward's Day Out, there are 6 engines in the shed. You have Edward and Gordon on one side, and then 4 unknown engines. Now that looks like Henry, that looks like James, and that looks like Gordon clones, but they're not. We'll explain the Gordon and James guy later. But right now, we're focused on the 2 blue guys. There's also a little blue tank engine that appears in James the Red Engine in 2 illustrations. Again, these 2 are Edward and Gordon for sure. This one, because a kid wrote to Audrey, this engine is known as 87546 and 98462, which are beloved by the fandom. A lot of theories going around about these 2, including several illustrations done by people like Retrojet and stuff. And these are very, we don't know anything about these engines. They appear in, this one appears in 2 illustrations and one appears in 1 illustration. But they were on loan, and they were known as Horrid Root engines, and they got banished to the Shadow Realm. You also got Proboscis James over here. Now, this is not James, because it has red wheels, red dome, and James ain't even on the railway yet. We'll get more about this engine. But this engine, according to Audrey's original notes, was meant to be more of an Edward type engine. And honestly, I've made my own theories that this is literally Edward in his furnace livery, as this takes place a year before the start of the first book. Now, I think Edward was probably blue at this time. Sorry. I think Edward was probably blue at this time, but they do look very similar. So this could just literally be Edward, because they wouldn't have his furnace railway letters off. So in his original red livery. It also could be technically be James. At least in Adventure Begins, it is. I'm in a whole video if you want to go watch it. It also could be another furnace railway engine, because there were a lot of them. This engine's interesting, because I think it's a tender engine. You also see, it looks like, it seems to be some kind of 2 something. It probably is like a 2.6 or a 2.80. And it has a slope running board. But the Furnace Railway didn't have any of these. Though I've seen some very nice concept art of these engines. That it could be. Definitely could be. It also could be definitely a double bogie. So yeah, it could be one of their longer tank engines, which I love a lot like that. Looks really good. Props to Mr. Terrier 673. And yeah, I do like that idea a lot. Maybe not one of these, because that's kind of has maybe not this engine in particular, because it has the kind of board. This engine is very mysterious, as it kind of, it's super weird looking. It's kind of jank. This might even be 2 different engines. But definitely could be one of the neighboring Midland Railway engines. They had a few wacky ones like this. And many people, like Unlucky Tug, thought this was one of the Wellsworth and Sudbury engines, but those were confirmed to be a bunch of 060, what are these called? Give me a moment, folks. Manning Worrell tank engines, and a Sharp Stewart. We'll get into those guys later, and an unknown 060. So many engines on Sodor. So little time to know them all. Also, I have theorized before, this could be Whiff, which down this hill, this was Whiff, but that's just a theory I have. Now, we go into the engine Henry, as I call him. Henry is an engine that looks like Henry in the first book. Otherwise known as, well, who is this mysterious green engine? And how do I... Sorry, we'll explain. So you see, in the early days of the books, before we actually had continuity, and Henry existed on a whole different railway, this engine was drawn as Henry by William Middleton. I think that's his name. Why am I doing this weird accent? Now, Rexeljet has definitely made he made a whole video explaining this in far more detail and made his own drawings. But apparently, this engine could be a Pacific. Now, why do I think this engine is this? You may be watching, why is this not just Henry? Because it was drawn as Henry, might as well just be Henry with a weird cheekbone. But it's not. You see, this illustration, this story was taking place in 1923. the sad story when Henry got, put in prison, takes place in 1922, a year before. Now, this illustration could literally just take place a year before that and after, but the thing is, this illustration has to take place after Henry got put in prison, is because Gordon appears. And Gordon didn't arrive on the railway until after Henry got locked in prison in 1922. Which means Henry's in prison. So who's this engine? And sorry, I'm got like a bit sick lately. Anyway, Audrey said ever since, and like pretty much ever since 1922, there have been two Henrys, Henry I and Henry II, but we have not actually ever seen Henry I. We never saw Henry. So that's the important part, because there's something called the two Henrys theory, which is complete crap. Everyone knows it's crap. Well, it's technically a few Henry theories. There's one theory that Henry got locked in the tunnel and starved. That is complete crap, and no one believes that, except, like, literally no one believes that. No one believes that at all. Yeah, that's just crap. And then you have the two Henrys theory, which, again, is literally crap, and it's just becoming a meme at this point. The whole, oh my god, there's been two Henrys. He scrapped Henry I and rebuilt him. Like, bro, Albert is an example of an engine being completely rebuilt. Even Unlucky Tug. I mean, I did get some of these illustrations from Lucky Tug, and he helped in his, like, timeline videos, but even he said it's complete crap, and I don't know any more Thomas nerds than him. He's, like, the biggest Thomas YouTuber ever, so I trust his word. No, but more reason than that, but also, again, they've taken this line to believe that there have been two Henrys since 1922, so they're like, oh my god, Henry scrapped it, but Audrey said 1922. If he was talking about Henry being rebuilt, then sure, 1935. But it's 1922. Henry was shipped off in 1935. Which means Audrey was not mentioning that. Which means this is not what he's talking about. There are no two Henrys like this. He's not talking about that. Okay? 1922. Which means this engine is the second Henry. Or as I call, Henry. Like Luke. Luke from Star Wars. There's a clone of Luke. So I'm calling him Henry. And I did get all these pictures from Retrojet and Unlucky Tug. Go watch them. But yeah, ever since... So this takes place in 1923. We know that for sure. So who's this? Now, again, yeah, he's saying as a way, and again, Gordon was on Solder, so if Henry's here, who's this? Now, there are definitely a possibility of there being two engines on Solder named Henry, like when Henry was put in prison, like the Alberts, as I discussed earlier. They had a Falcon-looking engine named Albert, who was cannibalized for parts, and then they got another engine later and named Albert. And this has happened many times in railways. Hell, even the real-life ships, like Britannic, was the second. The one we know of, Titanic's sister Britannic, was the second Britannic, and there were three of them. So they do it for ships, they do it for trains, to rename an engine the same name, because no one's creative with names like me. So this very well could just be Henry, after Henry got sent packing in the tunnel. And then when Henry was saved, I don't know. He was a horrid root engine too. Now, here's Retrojet's theory, which honestly makes a lot more sense. As aren't many Pacific Green locomotives like this, like just locomotives like this at all. But as his theory goes, William Standler, I'm pretty sure that's his name. I'm really bad with names, but William Standler was a friend of Sir Topham Hatt. And Sir Topham Hatt's like, hey, so my last express engine, he's in a tunnel right now. Don't ask why I put him in prison. Can you send me a new train? I hear Pokemon Go. Can you send me a new train? So he sent him the First Pacific of the Great Western Railway, aka the Great Bear. Now, this clearly would have worked out because they got Gordon. So I'm thinking that the Great Bear is this engine. And Rexual Jet puts, I mean, this is my original favorite. This is Rexual Jet. Go watch it. I love that YouTuber, so go watch him. He's one of my favorites. But pretty much, this engine thought he was so great, he was boastful and rude, and then he buckled the tracks and didn't work. Because there must have been a mix-up, and instead of sending, like, an actual competent engine, he accidentally sent him this engine. And that's why he owes Tom Hattie a favor that would be called in about 12 years or so later when he had to rebuild Henry. So after this engine got sent packing, they bought Gordon. This guy probably still existed on Soda until they sent him packing. Briefly, for this illustration, this is Record's illustration, really good artist, and yeah. Does that make sense? Proteus was a magical engine that appears on screen for about 5 seconds, I think, which is less than Bertram. Wow. He might actually appear the least out of any engine, like ever in the TV series. Doesn't even speak. Now, Proteus is a huge Falcon engine who has a magical lamp and shares Peter Sam's chassis, what makes him a hybrid, I guess. But he was a huge Falcon locomotive. Worked on the Mid-Soda Railway. Now, many people think he used to work on the Scarlet Railway, but that was actually confirmed to not be true. He is a Mid-Soda engine, and we'll get to that. And he did something to earn him a statue. Most likely, he was actually like a nice locomotive. And as a tribute for his years of service, they would build him a statue. Wouldn't be the first time something like this would have happened. And people like Enterprising Engine 93 are kind of loving of Proteus. I mean, honestly, I love him. I have the model of Proteus. He appears in many games, many concept art, had wooden railway models, had Trackmaster models. Pretty cool guy. Now, there was a theory that Proteus was the engine that fell the Old Iron Bridge, as he was a Mid-Soda engine, and the Old Iron Bridge is actually the connection between the Mid-Soda and Skarloey, unofficially, but kind of is. Since not in the railway series, but in the TV series, the railways were in fact connected. Now, people thought the engine fell at the Old Iron Bridge, but that was confirmed to not be true, and there was a different engine that fell at the Old Iron Bridge. We'll get to that other engine later on the iceberg. But yeah, so Proteus was a Mid-Soda engine. As you can see here, but this is actually why is Millie here? This is not a reliable, why am I using this picture? This is a much more reliable edit. And judging by this edit, I don't know who made it, but I thank you for this. I love it. Basically, the timeline of the Mid-Soda Railway. Now you may be wondering, oh, they had 3 Falcons at one point? But what happened to Proteus? Why was he not here? Well, you see, put it shortly, without graphic. You see, the Mid-Soda is based on 4 different railways. The Snailby District Railway, which you probably never heard of because it never existed in the first place. This is the cute Illuminati music. Now, I'm sorry, it's just very obscure. I think it had like 6 locomotives in total, including a Jim and 2 Stanleys. Oh god, 2 Stanleys? That's worse than Bash and Dash or Bill and Ben. Then there's based off the Welsh Highland and Festiniog Railways, which I have my own beef with. That's where Duke, Freddy, all them boys are from. And then it's based off the Chorus Railway, which had 3 Falcons and a Kerr Stewart, which were named Falcon 1, Falcon 2, get this, Falcon 3, and the Kerr Stewart, before they were renamed. Now you might be wondering, because the Tycoon bought the Falcon Kerr Stewart. What happened to the other 2 Falcons? Well, to put it short, without any graphic detail, the 2 engines were both stripped down for parts, like all 3 Falcons were stripped down the parts, and rebuilt as one engine. And the rest of the parts were scrapped by the time the Kerr Stewart came. And these engines would have been 30 years old at the time. I think it had something to do with like World War II happening. But basically, yeah. So, despite being mostly made out of number 1's part, they kept the name number 3. Which we can apply, which I think this is actually canon. This is actually canon. Like, that did happen. There were 3 Falcon locomotives all on the railway that were cannibalized for parts. That is confirmed. Now, the thing is, Proteus is a TV series character, so we can't count that as reliable at all. But for our purposes today, we're going to say, in the timeline, since we don't know about this other Falcon locomotive, and we never will know about him, because he's super obscure, we can basically confirm that there were 3 Falcons. Falcon number 3, the second 3, Proteus number 4, the first number 4, and Albert number 5, the first number 5, would have arrived in the early 1900s, between the years of 1900 and 1903. And by the, 1920s, they would have been completely worn down, probably had multiple accidents, and were stripped for parts. They were mostly made out of Falcon's parts, but had a lot of Proteuses and Albert's parts, which would explain Falcon's little split personality disorder he has later on. And the other 2 were scrapped and ceased to exist, which would explain the statue of Proteus, probably a great locomotive. And again, that is a pretty horrifying fate. Basically, the Frankensteining of the engines. Because again, if you have a broomstick and the handle breaks, and you get a new handle, and then the brush breaks, or I guess you can do this with the axe. You have an axe head breaks, you get a new axe. The handle breaks, you get a new handle. You do that about 62 times. Is it the same axe, Is it the same axe? Yes, because I have a picture of it. R.I.P. Proteus. Old slow coach. Old slow coach was a old coach that probably ran like the Express in the early days, who was riding in a scrapyard because they simply ran out of time to scrap her. Like they had more important things to scrap, like Marklin. We'll get into him later. And she was restored. She appears in the episode. I think it's Thomas, Percy, and the old slow coach, where they found her and restored her. And later became a little station since the other one burned down. Wow. Wonder where they got that story from. Also, yeah, just Dexter. And also, it's a pretty wholesome episode. She appears in season 5. That's the season 5 episode. Thomas, Percy, and the old slow coach. And later on, I think it's whatever the wedding one's called. I'm sorry, I should know names. I don't know names. She appears in many fan content episodes. Many recreations of these episodes. Locals Online model, all that kind of stuff. A wooden railway toy that I need. And yeah, there's not much to say about her, I guess. She's cool. She was going to be a boy, but they changed her to be a girl. We know that in the season 5 scripts. So again, yeah, cool stuff. Wish I had more to say. The unnamed mainland diesels. So, there are many mainland diesels. Like this guy, who looks like he's pretty done with life. And they appear in the Great Railway Show shunting around, which should have been Splatter and Dodge, but I guess not. And yeah, we know, I think, I don't know names, but I think he calls one of them Frank or Harvey or something. Though I know those are already Thomas characters. So again, I'm just bad with names. Don't quote me on names. But yeah, we don't know the names of these guys. There are a lot of them. Like, they're basically just a mindless army of diesels. And then you have these 3 guys. By the way, these guys work at Bridlington. Here in the Great Railway Show and the Journey Beyond Sodor. Then you have these 2 guys from the Railway series. You see, in this illustration, you see 3 diesels that look like they really want to grab Stepney by the smoke box and just tie him to a rope. We got this guy, who, I don't actually know the class of diesel this guy is. But, yeah, he was, I'm pretty sure the real-life engine was scrapped. Then you have a class 40 and a class 25, I want to say. I don't know. Why does the class 40 have, like, ears? Why does he have ears? He looks like Shrek. It's hilarious. Rexel Jet, my boy, did a video on these guys. Thank you, Rexel Jet. So, go watch out right now if you want to know about these guys more. There's also a unnamed diesel yells out that Oliver's escaping. And in this beautiful illustrations, you get 3 diesels. You get a, what is diesel called? One moment. Class 40? Class 40 diesel shunter. You have a Class 40 diesel shunter, which is diesel, but its face is on its cab. Unlike Diesel, Paxton, Sydney, Splatter Dodge, mainland diesels, all of them folks, Airy Bird, this one has it on its cab. I mean, that Singleman who is looking is like terrified. Then you have Boko's brother. You see, this is whatever Boko's class is. I wish I knew. I do not know anything about trains, I guess. And one of them are painted blue, which was the one right before what Boko is. So it means basically Boko's twin hunted down Oliver. Damn. He was scrapped a year later. And then you got this engine in the distance that you can't really tell what he looks like. Just a splotch. And honestly, just being Oliver, that is terrifying. Don't worry, our boy Rex will jet again. Made a video on them. I'm going to watch that right after this, actually. So many diesel engines. Toby's brothers. Toby's brothers appear in a few illustrations and are mentioned a few times. You get these two Toby brothers, like Grimy over here, who, he looks weirdly happy, you know, for his circumstances, and they used to work on a dock. Now, they would all be scrapped, and by 1951, Toby would be the only one left. Worked on his little branch line, the Wees Beach and Upland Tramway. There have been many models and stuff of these engines. We get one illustration. I think this is Toby right here, because back in the day, in the early, 19-teens, they used to work at a dock. One branch lines together, tramways, but again, they would all be slowly scrapped as time goes on. R.I.P. Toby's brothers. And one of them would make a cameo in the Journey Beyond Sodor. We've been referencing Journey Beyond Sodor a lot lately. Wonder how many, honestly, I should have a count for that, but yeah. You can see right here, Toby's brother. So I guess he survived or something. Stephanie the Bluebell Engine. Hell, I got her the actual book for this one. One moment, folks. In the book Stephanie the Bluebell Engine, in Story 2, Stephanie's Special, he talks to Edwards about the other engines of the Bluebell Railway. Oh yes, always, Stephanie. You'll like our Bluebell and Primrose, who we see here. I don't know which is which, don't ask me. But yeah, Bluebell and Primrose are two engines who are preserved on the Bluebell Railway. Twins, I think. Nice chaps. Then you got Adam, the Adam radio tank. That's why Stepney continued. We gave names to our 484 and 2650. But our controller doesn't know it's a secret. Why? I don't know. Bro, I hate these two. These guys don't even have faces. None of the non-sentient trains. Ooh. Smile at Edward. They are both very proud about it because now they feel part of the family. We call 480 Adams after his designer, and you know, he's loving engines. A southwestern from Denver. He can stroll away with any load he gave. And Crumford, that's his name. Now, Stepney only mentions like 5 Bluebell engines, including himself as Stepney and these, Bluebell, Primrose, Crumford, Adam. We'll get to the 5th one. But Stepney shows up with 2 other engines, who I don't think are these guys. But like in early days, even Diesel would work at the Bluebell Railway. And finally, we get the one we're waiting for. Drum roll, please. Captain Baxter! Yeah, Captain Baxter. The best of the best, Captain Baxter. Captain Baxter is, related to Duncan, I think. He's the best. Man, Bluebell in this blue. That goes. I need that. I need this. Hell, if you're just like getting rid of like a bluebell engine, if that makes any sense, I'll take it. Now, why would you get rid of him? I don't know. Jeffrey. You see, in the episode Who's Jeffrey, Thomas would get into a bit of trouble at the docks. And a whole bunch of bouncy balls would go around. So he would use Jeffrey as basically a scapegoat. So he wouldn't get in trouble from his little incident because Thomas is stupid. And, you know, oh wow, something went wrong. And wow, Thomas said it was a different engine. It's Thomas. No more excuses, Thomas, said the Fat Controller. I mean, Sir Tom Hat in this universe. So yeah, Thomas would make up the lie of Jeffrey, and the lie would get bigger and bigger and bigger until it burst, and Thomas had to tell the truth because Spencer came through the tunnel. Long story. Go watch the episode. Good episode. Good season. Now, Thomas would describe Jeffrey in such a way that fans have made models of Jeffrey, such as these, or this, or this. Oh, this guy. Now again, Jeffrey does not exist. Let me get this across. Thomas literally creates Jeffrey off the top of his head. Yes, his name is Jeffrey. He's a big red engine. Very strong, very fast. Works on the mainland, I guess. I don't know where else. Because Thomas can't think of crap, you know, like, oh, where is he? He's currently on the Harwick branch line. And I'm like, no, he's like, I will get him, sure, like, whatever. Jeffrey doesn't exist, but fans tend to, even myself, I've made customs of him and stuff. Cool guy, I guess. Okay, Pixie barely only counts as a character. Pixie is Luke's sister, who appears in a Railway Series magazine, which for some reason, famous engines, yes, everyone's favorite engine. You got Doc, Random Children, Mike Striver, everyone's favorite character. Oh my god, it's Patrick, the most well-known character of all, you know? Who's next? The Scarlet Beetle? Too soon. Pixie would appear in the coloring book. And not much else, but the Thomas theorist said she's canon, so I guess she's canon. Yay. What could have been? You see, in the book, it's Percy the Small Legend or something. No, what book? I don't know. Book 5 of the Railway Series. Book 5 of the Railway Series. She took my hat, goes to go get a little shunter, since the other engines, out of our 3 big engines, you got, because at the time, there's this here, Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, maybe Markland, Scarloy Reneus, Ernest, Wilfred, Cody, maybe Shane Dooney, and all the mid-Sodor bastards. So, Sodor doesn't really have any engines at this point. So Drop a Hat went to go get a new Timus shunter, and he had any engine you choose from. You got, you chose Percy, of course. We all love Percy. What if he didn't? Nah, nah, nah. So Rexeljet, our boy, my third famous Thomas YouTuber, I would have to go Thomas Wooden Railway, Unlucky Tug, Rexeljet, Enterprising Engine 93. What am I? Enterprising Engine 93. Ooh, not thinking right today. Anyway, yeah, so Rexeljet would do a video on it. Go watch that video. So first up, we got Depressed over here. Now, he did his own tape of Depressed, who, would have been a depressing engine. Now, again, these are his own little takes on the engines, but I might as well just consider them canon. Again, all these engines were most likely, 99% sure they were all scrapped, because why would they not be? But yeah, this engine would work in a scrapyard. Despite being very young, he would tell the other engines about the most depressing stories of all these engines in their final moments. That would make poor Henry cry. Shocked, who wears a Northwestern livery. Wow, so creative. There's one real-life railway in Britain that actually wore blue. So I love that everyone just had Great Western livery. Yes, he would be a very, This is the kind of engine I don't want to be around. Jeffrey. What? Jeffrey, he drew as a big engine. Sorry, I remember his name because he called him Jeffrey. And honestly, I wish this one happened because the 3 big engines are waiting for a tiny little shunter, tiny little Percy to, peck his shadow tank for them to boss around. And then there's a lumbering giant of a tank engine shows up and starts bossing around the 3 big engines. I wish that happened. That would have been so funny. And finally, Concerned. Concerned would have been a very law-abiding engine who would have just followed the law. You know, basically Grafford, but worse. So as you see here, there's clearly a runaway train that's going to definitely crash into her and probably destroy her. And she's like, that's not up to code. Now clearly we got our beautiful Percy, our troublesome beautiful Percy that we love. But it would be interesting to see Depressed, Scared, Jeffrey, and Cross to be part of this roster. And yes, I am riding a skateboard right now. Don't ask. The Thomas and Friends magazines. Honestly, these were peak magazines right now. That they are not canon in the slightest. The Thomas magazines are not canon, get that across. But they have a lot of characters. Like, legit, I could make a 40-minute video on all the magazine characters. They had a plethora made of engines, rolling stock, vehicles, maybe more than TV series. There are many of them, like Victor over here, who exist. So we're just going to go through some of the more important ones. The miniature gauge engines. You have this guy right here, who works at the pier. Not much known about this engine. He just works at the pier. This engine right here. So these are the mini Thomas and Percy's that work at like the seaside, I guess. Are they alive? Is the real question. Because Thomas seems to be enjoying his little Thomas and Percy clones, his little doppelgangers, his little posse, but are they alive? I don't know. The miniature red engine, who is definitely not just Mike and kind of looks like the Harry Potter Express engine, was a engine going to be scrapped. Oliver saw him. And then I guess he was restored because Tom had bought the scrapped little engine, because why would anyone want to scrap him? Sorry. And would restore the engine. The tiny, definitely not just Thomas. This engine was also going to be scrapped, and the Tom Hat, where have I heard that before? The engine was going to be scrapped, and so Tom Hat bought him and restored him, and now he works at the zoo, and everyone thinks he's more important. Kingfisher, who's definitely not just Bert. Honestly, this guy could just work on the Arsdale Railway. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. The tramway beach engine, the pier engine, would take people down the pier, and we don't know much about this engine. Not much about him. The old engines. This engine is old. We later find out that he was, like, Percy finds out he was going to be tested, like, was just some weird old engine, but he was actually being tested out at the quarry and was going to work at, like, a fair or something. Again, not alive, I guess. I don't know. We don't know anything. These guys appear in, like, one story. Never appears again. Flying Thistle. Flying Thistle, which I think is one of Gordon's brothers. Piano soldier. Kind of famous dude. Everyone loves him. Pretty cool guy. You know what? Cranky, man. You are working out. The weird part is, he has a face in some illustrations. Like the original one, he had a face. But when the final version came out, he didn't. I mean, very it's kind of drawn on, but like... Now, I know it's like a 25% chance you're going to be sentient. 75 is like sentient in this universe. And we've seen people like City of Trill, the Markland engine, this guy, sort of, who don't have faces. So there are engines that don't have faces and stuff. Again, 75%, 25%. But this guy had a face, and it was taken away from him. Which, again, debunks the theory that engines on Soldier have a face. If you don't count this. Which, this is just jarring. Sydney. Sydney is the first character to actually appear in 2 stories. Sydney was an engine. Narrow gauge engine, I guess. Probably worked on the mid-Sodor with her boys. Who arrived on Sodor. And he was bragging how his railway is the most scenic one, even though he hasn't been there yet. And Doug took him on his branch line. And I guess Bro hated it, but learned out that all railways can be important or something. I don't know. It's some kind of stupid moral. And he appears again. I do personally like Sydney because I love narrow gauge engines, but his canonicity is for up the debate. 13. 13 is the Northwestern's number 13. He would show up one day. This is my new channel logo. This is my new channel logo. He would show up one day when Donald and Douglas were kind of being retired. I mean, they were like old at this point. Like they're like 100. So they got pretty tired. And 13 would show up. And originally be a very unlucky engine, bad, small box and stuff, but he would be rebuilt and would be fixed. Even had a character gallery made after him. So yes, Oliver's 11, Emily's number 12, 13's number 13. I think Barry's number 14, Walter's number 15. So any confusion. Rolling stock. This guy, a Thomas truck who was abandoned, restored, and now he's a flower truck, I guess. The pink truck. The trucks were complaining how they were bored of their black liveries. This guy was painted pink, and he complained. And so Tom Hat was like, you see, the reason we paint you all black is because I hide all the dirt, because you're dirty, disgusting things. Truxus, I guess. And he was like, and the pink shall wear off, unlike the black paint. Great story. This guy was a truck, got his boards taken off, and a roof was installed, and now he's the Keller truck. I actually quite like the Keller truck. Pretty cool idea. Old Benny was are those crack? I think that's dirt, but those kind of looks like cracks in his face. Oh my god. He was a older truck. Thomas didn't want to take him around. Got loaded up in rubbish. They were trying to load a car in him, and he got knocked in the sea by Luke. Now he was rescued by a boat crane because I guess the other crane couldn't rescue him. This guy, the school coach. This guy was abandoned, just old school coach in Dexter again, and was restored as the other station got burnt down by vandals, I guess, and he was restored and put back to order. The bumper cars. Why is it black and white? I don't know. The Doglies, Douglies, I don't know how to spell that. Why is there a truck on a boat? Whatever. I don't care at this point. This one is black and white. These 6 spawns of the devil are sentient. That's pretty screwed up because like they're bumper cars. I don't want to know. And they were very one-sided, saying the only way to have fun is at the fair. One guy gets knocked in the ocean, and I guess kind of liked it. He wanted to be a boat. And these things exist. Oh, color. Oh, the ice cream truck. Honestly, haven't seen an ice cream truck in these parts in like years. I think I've ever seen an actual ice cream truck driving around cities in this state ever. Well, the nice ice cream truck. I've seen the non-nice ice cream trucks driving around all the time. But the nice ones, I've never seen the nice ones driving around. Anyway, where was I? Ice cream truck. Yeah. Cool guy. He met Daisy. Gives people ice cream. Angus. Angus is a fun one. He appears in quite a few things. Appears in quite a few different fan stuff. He's a fire truck. An older fire truck. Appears in quite a few, stuff. Pretty cool guy. I actually personally love Angus. Birdie's, twice removed cousin, I guess. The open-top bus. I quite like this guy. He was an open-top bus. Took all of Birdie's passengers to the dismay of Thomas. But then when it rained, all the passengers rode in Birdie, I guess. Because this guy doesn't have, a bottom. I don't know. The float truck. The float truck would be a truck that I had a float on it. And it would carry around Float Thomas. And that's all for Tier 3, folks. I'm sorry. I just... What do I say about the float truck? He's a truck. With a weird non-sentient Thomas on him. Do you want me to pull out the magazine books? It's just, I think, the further we go into this, the less knowledge we know. So, again, I'm not trying to make up any AUs here, but the further... Okay, we're already in, okay? You can back out now. Okay, this is your one warning. Back out now. Because we're going deep now. Deep into Tier 4, baby. Why did I say that?